Hello, winners. It's Michael Rice, aka Mr. Today You Win, because today you live. Of the Today You Win Personal Growth and Success series, accessing your full potential. Do you want to improve your self development? Do you want to get better, but you fully don't know how? Are you committed to accountability and mentorship? Where this is the place for you. And I have a dream chaser, somebody that I look up to. I coach his son. He knows my whole family. None other than Jamon Glover. How you doing, my friend?
What's good, Mike? I'm good, bro. How about yourself? Good
I'm
to
doing
see
pretty
you.
good, man. You too, man. I'm super excited about this, but just give the people a spiel about who you are. Just walk us through that, man.
Awesome. That's a very interesting question, man. You know how we go through changes in life and we evolve. And so, had you asked me this question a couple years ago, I would have said I'm a freelance videographer and I travel pretty much up and down the East Coast doing shoots for sometimes NASCAR, sometimes MTV. I've done reality TV, I've done short films, just all in the creative space. Today, however, I sit here, I am a parent educator, I am a fatherhood coach, I am a motivator, a mentor. I am really into the human aspects of life and the things that make us go, like the relationships. So my journey it's brought me here, man. I have a couple of tragic stories that turn out not to be tragic. I might share them in a little bit.
Yes, sir, man. And you just been such a pillar in our community, man. I've seen you. I've seen you spoken in so many different platforms. Actually, and you were our keynote for the Discover Greatness Teen Awards, man. So you just kind of just did a wonderful job with that. I know the pandemic and kind of COVID kind of set us back, but we're looking forward to doing that hopefully again and just bringing you back. But just tell them a little bit about how did you get started first professionally, and then where you're at now.
Great. I graduated high school and I didn't want to do the college thing. I didn't like school enough. And honestly, to be completely honest, the only reason I finished high school is because I love football, I love wrestling, and I love girls. And all the girls my age were at school. So if I stayed at home, it was like I didn't like those girls that were just around the neighborhood doing nothing. So it was like, okay, I guess I need to go to school. And in going to school, I understood one thing. I am I have to be really engaged in what I'm doing. And so I chose to go the military route. And the military really got me away from home. It took me around the world, exposed me to a lot of different things. And when I got out of the military, I went to school for communications because I've always was always that little kid running around with the little camera, the ones you got to wind up. And I would take thousands of pictures, and I had pictures of everybody but me. And it was it was crazy how that worked. And somewhere I knew I'm supposed to do something with this. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm supposed to do something with it. And lo and behold, I set out on this journey, and I'm building for about 10 years. And at some point, I meet the right people, and I meet the right networks, and things take off for me. And now I'm able to. It became more than just something I did on the side. You know how we got our side hustles. For a long time, that's what it was. And then at one year, I hit a space where I was getting calls left and right to do jobs, and not just jobs that were, a couple $100 here. Some jobs end up being, well, we got a couple thousand, we'll pay you for this, and then we're gonna bring you back in a couple months to do the second part. Some like one job, I'm making like 15, 20 grand off one job. And I was like, yo, this is what I'm doing for life. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. And then one day, man, I was riding my motorcycle, coming back from a friend's house, and I was sitting at this stoplight. The light turns green, and there's a gas station right past the stoplight. So as I'm going through the intersection, this car just turns out of the gas station. I swerve lanes to avoid being hit. The lady driving gave me this ugly look, and she just stomped her little gas and she just moved out. Now, any other day, I would have accelerated and went on past her, and no, not thought nothing of it. But for some reason, this day, I'm like, I'm just feeling good, man. I ain't no stress, no worries. So I just chill, let her go on about her business. I went to switch lanes to get behind her. I kind of turned my head to look back a little bit. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up in the emergency room. A truck turned directly into my path. In that accident, I broke my femur, which is my thigh bone. I broke my foot. I cracked some ribs. I had a tooth knocked out, the other one fractured. Nice big gash in my lip. And for all intents and purposes, they thought I was dead. From what I've been told, they had pulled a white sheet out and everything, getting ready to cover me up. And then just so happened, a friend of mine that you probably know as well, he was a first responder. And so he was on the scene, and he realized it was me. He kind of was like, you know how you kind of got that feeling like, oh man, not my guy, this is my
Mm-hmm.
guy. And he just was like, hold on, wait, give him a second. Keep looking for the pulse, keep looking for the pulse, keep looking for the pulse. And they eventually found a very faint pulse. And so they put me on the back of the ambulance and they was rushing me to the hospital. And that's when I wake up on the back of the ambulance at the hospital. And they're asking me all these questions. And I'm in this brain fog where I'm trying to figure out where am I at, what's going on. I was just riding my bike. It was a beautiful day. What happened? Long story short, man, I went through 3 surgeries that lasted about a year and a half where I couldn't work. All these jobs and all these networks that I had made, I cannot be there anymore. So time moves on, life moves on. And so people, after a year and a half, the phone stopped ringing. And I'm watching my savings, all the money that I saved up is just going lower and lower and lower. And I'm just sitting there crying every day, like, God, why me? I just realized where I was supposed to be in my journey in my life, and I couldn't figure out, okay, and you know the old sayings, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck. I
Mm-hmm.
was spitting those sayings, and it was just like, I'm praying 1 second, then I'm crying the next second. I'm just like, I got to start all over again. And I couldn't fathom it. And then I have, for those who don't know, I have four. You know my children. Um, and they were at this space at the time where they were entering high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been promising them all these years that we're going to do this, we're going to go here, we're going to see that, we're going to live like this. And so it was heartbreaking for me because I was just at a place where I could start doing those things and not have to worry about how I'm gonna pay the bills when we come back next month.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in this depression because I feel like I done lied to my children. I feel like I failed miserably, even though the connections are still there, but opportunities move. And so it was one project that would have paid me almost $150,000 over a 2 year period. And that was just one project, right? And it's like
Yeah.
poof, somebody else got that project, it's now gone. What do I do next? How do I get back into the circle, to the networks? And then the thought hit me one day when I was just sitting alone feeling sorry for myself. Had I died in that accident, what did my life amount to?
Mm.
What did my life amount to?
That's
Had
deep.
I had I done really what I knew I was called to do? Had I really impacted anybody's life? I mean, I love the arts of creating, but once you create it, it's pretty much over. You get the check, you move on, and you on to the next thing. And did this reality show or did this commercial, did this really impact anybody else's life? Or was it just entertainment?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started really doing some deep thinking about it. And I was like, okay, what can I do? If I could do anything, what would that be? What's the thing that I want to do but scares me? Creating stuff is easy because you can take other people's ideas and thoughts. You can take things you see every day, and if you got a good imagination, you can make up stories and make and create. But the scariest thing in the world for me was to dig deep inside of me and start uprooting my trauma. And so many don't know this, but I got into coaching, parent coaching, by accident because it was during this time when I was soul searching. My oldest daughter's mom, she called me one day. She worked for this nonprofit, and she tells me that they are wanting to start a fatherhood program, but they can't find anybody that could teach it. It was only a part-time position. There were no benefits,
Mhm.
but it was an okay check. But and I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want to be doing that. I'm trying to get back into this video thing, and I don't really know. So she was like, well, just apply. And if you don't want to do it, when they call you, tell me you change your mind. So I'm like, all right. So I applied for it. And I said, look, I said, well, let me ask you. I said, why? What make you think I could do this fatherhood class? She was like, because I think you're a great father. Now, that meant a lot coming from her
Mhm.
because we had our battles, when because we got married fresh out of high school.
Mhm.
And as soon as we got married, I was gone. Joe, I was off in the military. Then they sent me overseas. So she's at home with a baby by herself. And so our relationship didn't work out because my first few years in the military, I was gone. And then she didn't really want to go overseas like that. And so we didn't plan our relationship out. And so it eventually ended up not working. But I always fought to be a part of my daughter's life. Even when she didn't want me to be around, I still fought for it. And I was like, no, my daughter's gonna know who I am. And so
That's
she was
good.
like, just because of, how you were early on, I know you're a great father. If you could help some of these guys do half of what you did then and now, you're gonna help change a lot of families' lives. And I was like, dang, kind of hard to say no to that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I went ahead and I applied for it. They called me back about a month later, and they told me what the position was and how much it paid. And honestly, I accepted the position is because I ain't had no other money coming in. I had just had money going out from all the money that I had made, that I had saved up. I had little investments. I was cashing stuff in, taking the penalty hits, just trying to, because I still got these kids I'm trying to provide for, and this family I'm providing for. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. It was like 20 to 25 hours a week. And I'm like, I got an office and we got a classroom. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And the first class I did not like. I was like, bro, I don't think this is for me. But I'm like, I need this check, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And so about 3 weeks later, man, it was like something changed. One of the guys came up to me and was like, hey, Mr. Glover, I really appreciate you, man, and what you're doing and how you you taking this time to do this with us. Because a couple of these guys were court ordered to be there, and
Mhm.
some came voluntarily because they just wanted to get some more tools and understand things a little bit better. But it was this one guy in particular. Week 3, he disappeared, and I'm like, dang, I lost one. Then another one, I said, oh man, I lost two. And so I'm so busy focused on people that weren't coming back that I stopped focusing on the people that were there.
Mm.
And then I was like, dang, I suck at this. This is not me. Maybe I need to just quit because I'm losing people.
Mhm.
And then right before I was getting ready to quit, right around week 6, one of these guys came back. Now this guy, I'm gonna give you a little background on this guy. I won't call his name because you might have seen him around town. But he was the self-proclaimed bad boy.
Mhm.
He was he had a little bit of a drug habit, and he was always in trouble with the law, doing crazy stuff. But he got 4 children, and so his children, they people calling CPS on him, and they taking his kids from the house, and he was court ordered to come to the class. And so right at week 6, he came back and he said, "Can I talk to you before we start?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" We talking. He was like, "I just want to let you know that I was mad with you." He was like, "Everything that you were saying in them first 3 weeks, I thought you was picking on me. I thought that the social worker had gave you my files and you were just reading out my files." And he was like, "Then I just realized that you weren't doing that.
Mhm.
You was teaching from a curriculum because I got the book, and I started reading through the book, and I realized everything you were saying was there, and it wasn't about me." He was just like, "I really appreciate it, and I'm here. I'm gonna stay." And he ended up being one of my best case studies as far as a client. And every time he would see me, I mean, he stopped his car in traffic one day to get out to say hello to me because the work we did in that class not only helped him become stronger as a man,
Mhm.
but it made him better as a father. He was able to get the custody of his kids back, and he still has custody of his kids to this day. And it's been over 10 years now. And it's a success story, and that's one story put me on the path that I am now, because that's the kind of stuff that matters.
Man, that was good, man. You taught look because my next question was gonna be how you overcame, the accidents and just that moment when you was in that dark place, but just to see that passion that you had for those young men, and even at just one, man, you just kind of summed that up. So I just wanted to just ask you, what are some best secrets and tips that you can give somebody just maybe watching this, something that they can take with them to both succeed personally and professionally.
Okay, well, one story I didn't put in there, and why I was hesitant on taking the class, because when my oldest son, he was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me and my dad had a rough history, and I didn't really care for him for a lot of reasons, and I didn't understand him, and so my goal in life was to not be like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I have 10, 10 other siblings. My dad was not there for the previous seven, but he was there for me, my sister, and my brother. But he wasn't a good father either, because he didn't have a good father. So he did the best he knew how to do. And so I held that against him for a long time. And so I was just like, I'm not going to be the man that he was. I'm going to be a better man. And so what I became is all I could become, all I knew how to be. Children don't learn what you teach them. They learn how you act. They learn what you do.
Mm, bars.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I was so busy trying not to be him that I still became a version of him. I just took a whole different route. And so where this comes to a head at is when my 4-year-old son, my namesake, Junior, I go to pick him up from the neighbor's house, and he sees me coming in the door, and he falls out crying because he don't want to go. Now in my mind, I'm thinking he's still playing. He's having a good time. He don't want to stop. But as I go to pick him up, he falls out kicking and screaming. But then he says, "I don't want you to be my daddy." And he points at the neighbor and says, "I want him to be my daddy." So just imagine for a second. You go pick up your son, and you go to grab him. He says he wants this other guy to be his dad. How would that make you feel?
Man, I'd be hurt.
Crushed, crushed. Because I'm like, this is why I've been doing everything that I've been doing. Because I want to be a good father. I want to be a good dad. And so it's crushing my soul at this moment, and I'm mad with him, and I can't figure out why he would say such a thing. But then it hit me. He's 4. He's not making up no conspiracy to hurt my feelings. He's telling me his experience and what he really feels. And so that set me on a journey to actually being a better father. I was scheduled for a promotion, which would have had me going from home even more, because I was in corporate America at this point. When I first got to the military, I was in corporate America, and so when I left that job, that's when I went back to school for communications. And so along my journey, man, I've had some trials, and the biggest tip that I can give people who are just starting, or they're trying to figure out what path they want to be on, that's going to really put them in a good position in life, will be this: stop running from your pain.
Mm.
We all have pain because of something that we've experienced, something that we've gone through, something we had to endure. When you can figure that out, when you can conquer that, you are now qualified to help somebody else do the exact same thing. And because it was a pain point for you, because it was a trauma for you, you're going to be so much more passionate about it, and you're not going to be money focused. Because the problem comes in business when we focus on the dollar, the money behind a certain thing, we make decisions based on the money. Now, I'm not saying money isn't a great thing, or money isn't something that we need to focus on, but you are compensated based on the level of your service. So if you find something that you can do, that you can be excellent in, something that you're passionate about, if you do it long enough and well enough, you'll be compensated handsomely for it in time. But the money can't be the main issue. I've been doing fatherhood classes for 8 years. I've been doing parenting classes for probably somewhere about 4 years. And then before that, I spent years reading blogs, websites, reading books, trying to be a better father for my kids, for my family, trying to be a better man. You know, there's a term going around there called a high value man. Most of us are trying to be high value, meaning high earners. My focus has always been high character. Because if you high character and you have a passion, you're going to be a high earner. And so the goal is to marry those two together. But that's how you find really your purpose, in all honesty. You turn your pain into your passion. That pain really is what the purpose really is. I mean, for most people. Now, some people, they come out like a Tiger Woods. They come out like a LeBron James, you know. But the majority of people, we go through pain, we go through fire early, and that shapes us to a certain way. And then we spend so much time ashamed of it, ashamed to let people know that we've been through a thing, that we're missing the blessing that was placed in us. If I'm not mistaken, there's a scripture that says, your gift will make room for you. People think that gift is something athletic or some singing talent or something like that. Sometimes, how to get through pain, that's a gift.
Man, that's good.
But that's it, man. I don't know if I answered that question or not. I might have went too
Hey
much
man,
into it.
you answered it. Oh man, you answered it, man. Man, hey man, that's good. Your pain, and use that pain as point to push you to greatness, man. I like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, what and then as of now, man, what I know your kids is really something special to you, man. And we talked about them going to how they were when they once four, but now they're heading to adulthood, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, other than your kids, man, what motivates you to work, man, to get up every day and grind?
Oh, man, that's that question is not as cut and dry, I think. uh because I I found out, man, everything that I've done in my whole life has been for legacy.
Mm.
You know, I didn't realize it early on, but you think about it. When somebody asks us why you work so hard or why you doing all this stuff, it's like because I got to one set example, two I got to provide, three I got to protect. So as a man, I got to do all these things for my family. That's all for legacy. All for legacy. People claim they work hard for their kids and for their families, but they don't spend the money on their kids and on their family. They spend their money doing other stuff. So it's like,
Bars.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like so many people say, I sacrifice hard for my family and for my kids, but you ain't never there. You spend time everywhere else. Now, granted, you may work 60, 70 hours a week, but then you still find somewhere else to be other than at home. And I'm talking straight to dudes right now. You find somewhere else to be other than at home with this wife or with this girlfriend who is raising these kids. I ain't even getting into that right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna go back. Legacy. Legacy is really why I do it, man. Because at the end of the day, my children will be the greatest indicator of who I really am, who I really was. What I put into them is going to determine the type of man that I am. I'm at a point now, man, when I meet people, I look for their families because I want to see how they treat their mom, how they treat their dad, how their kids, when they walk in a room, do their kids ball up in a knot and get real quiet? Or do the kids run and hug them and play with them? That tells me who you are. You know the old saying, birds of a feather flock together? You know a tree by the fruit that it bears. So when you look at a man's family, when you look at his kids, how they act with or without him, that's a strong indicator of who that man is. And so I do everything now for legacy because I realize my life, it really isn't my own.
You talked about legacy, and you have something about to be so major. We spoke to it off camera. I mean, off before we start recording. Man, talk to us about father figures, man.
Yeah, man. Father figure is a course that I'm creating, and it really what's the best way to say it? It's really geared to really touch deep into the hearts of men. And I was hesitant about doing it because sometimes when you touch people's pain points, when you challenge where they think they are in life, if you challenge people in general, sometimes there's a fight that's going to happen. And so this course is really designed to bring the pieces back together to make men more whole, more balanced. Because we do live in a culture right now where the definition of manhood is kind of in flux. Once upon a time, when our parents were growing up, there were roles, right? There were roles.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was responsible for making sure we had a house to live in and we had food on the table. Mom was, depending upon the type of house or the type of family structure you guys had, mom's role was primarily to make sure the kids were good. Dad made sure mom in the house was good. Mom made sure the kids and dad was good. And it worked. Today, you meet somebody and you was okay, you trying to be the same dad as your dad was. Well, okay, she might not need you to buy a house because she got a house already. Her job, she might make more money than you on her job. She might have been raised by a strong mom who didn't have a husband. So she's not gonna know how to be a good wife or a good girlfriend because she's never seen it. Her heart longs for it, she wants it, but she don't. Relationships are like muscles. The longer you're in relationships, the more the muscle develops. The longer you're out of a relationships, the muscles atrophy. So when you see people, guys and girls, who are in one relationship, then they out, then in another relationship, then they out, and as he did this or she did that, and I just couldn't take that anymore, it's because relationships are hard. It's like you're a coach. Guys come out there first day, they ready to put pads on the hit. Nah, you got to get some conditioning in first, right? You got to work, you got to learn some things, and that's what the dating scene is supposed to be. However, and I'll use my daughter for as the prime example. She graduated from college, and her boyfriend graduated from college with her, same time. He has no plans on. He moved back in with his mom. He has no plans on getting his own place, doing things that men do because he's comfortable at home with mom. And he can't understand why my daughter says, "Dude, I grew up watching a man. I need you to have a plan. I need you to have something. I need you to be more. And I'm not forcing you. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I can't be here because this is not what I expect." And so he's falling to pieces right now because he don't understand why she can't wait for him. Because mom raised him by herself with no other men around. And so he becomes what I would call a husband. He's a son husband. Mom pays the bills. Mom's take care of everything. He comes in comfortable, play PlayStation all day. He can't do anything wrong because mom defends him ferociously. She's enabling him to be her little son. And so now, and it's crazy, but women that do that, they're creating the men that they wouldn't even date. They're creating the men that they hate. She would never date a man like her son, but she's creating her son to be this the man that she don't want. And so when there's so many dudes out there like that, that this course is designed for those guys to help them take that next step, help them get to a place where they're confident, they're secure, they know who they are, they know where they're going, they know where they want to go. And when you can become that kind of man, you're going to attract what you are. You're going to attract the higher quality, higher caliber woman. You're going to attract a woman who says, you know what, this dude's a man. So I'm going to step back and let him be a man. But when you're not that dude, the woman says, "Submit." What's that? Ooh, that's a nasty word. He ain't going nowhere. He ain't moving. So if I don't tell him what to do, he ain't gonna do nothing. So now a woman has to be in her masculine energy because her man is in his feminine energy. And so that's why we have so many problems with guys in relationship and men, women claiming there ain't no good men left. There's plenty of good men out here. They just don't know what that means right now. What does it mean to be a man anymore? And so my goal with this course is to kind of reshape that. I know that was a long way to get there, but the goal in the course was that's what this course is for.
Hey, I think people need to hear that. I mean, you gave us the three: manhood, um, manhood, health, and what was the middle one?
Fatherhood.
Fatherhood, manhood, fatherhood, and health. And then all those three components, you delved into each one of them. So I think that was dope. So where do you see? And talk about a little bit about your. Before I go to the next question, man, talk a little bit about your book.
My book, man, it's really autobiography of sorts. Actually, it is autobiography of the first half of my life. It's called Thrive,
Mm-hmm.
turning trials into victory. And everybody has stories in life that has happened to them. Sometimes we lay down and we give up on them on whatever it is. Sometimes we fight through it, and sometimes we just sit back and just watch and wait and see what happens. All of our lives are a series of fortunate and unfortunate incidents. And my book is my story of overcoming. It goes from as a kid, my dad didn't think I was his kid for the first few years of my life. He didn't think I was his kid. And I don't blame my dad or my mom for that. I blame two people that had nothing to do with it. My aunts, my dad's sister and my mom's sister. They wanted to play a prank. And so they go tell my dad that my mom's with somebody else. And he believes them. And then by the time they realize it's gone too far, they want to correct it. They don't because they don't want to fit. They don't want to be the bad people. So they just don't. They don't talk about it no more. But they don't say anything either. And so my dad mistreats me early on. Or when I say mistreat, I don't mean in the sense of abuse,
Mm-hmm.
but there is no love there. There is okay. It's just if you get with a girl and she has a kid already, but you don't really care for the kid because the kid just kind of different from you, and y'all don't really vibe. So you stand offish from that kid. My dad was really standoffish from me early on, and so we never developed a bond. And then my mom, in a sense, kind of regretted me because they had a great relationship until I was born. And so what would have been a really great occasion, I'm my mom's first kid, but that turned into it wasn't good. And so my book starts off telling that story, and it's painful. My mom read it and she couldn't read it because she was like, I don't. First off, she didn't know I knew everything that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Mom, I did my research and I figured out some things, and that some things make sense now that never did. And I appreciate you protecting me from it. But this is my story. This is why I feel the way I feel on the inside. I need to know my story. And I know it's painful that, other people might read this, but it's true. She was like, yeah, it is. It's just, you know. But anyway, so it starts there and it goes through high school because I struggle, man, with low self esteem, lack of confidence. I struggle with all those things because when you grow up as a kid and you don't feel love, you feel like you can't trust anyone, the world becomes a real lonely place.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do things either for attention, you become a bully, or you go inside and you become depressed and whatever. And I think I went through all of those phases in my life. But that book is about that and learning how to turn those trials into victories. But anyway, that's what the book is about, man. It's on Amazon, it's on my website at jamongloverspeaks.com.
Yeah,
It's it's
we'll
pretty
put it
much
at the bottom of
everywhere.
the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna put it at the
Awesome.
bottom of the screen, man. But yeah, that was dope, man. What do you see, man? You have your book, Thrive. You got father figures, man. What do you see this just taking off to in 3 to 5 years?
Man, 3 to 5 years, man. I hope to have 1,000 member community of men. I believe that if we can change the families, if we can change the family, we can change the communities, and if we change the communities, we can change the cities, change the cities, we can change the states. Because everything in our lives in our country, it revolves around the family. That's why there's such a fight for the family. If you want to, like, there's a study that says that in the '60s they talked about how they could destabilize not another nation, because when you want to invade a country, when you want to take over a country's economy, you destabilize it first. Meaning you send propaganda into it, causing division between the government and the people. You funnel money into the people so they don't need the government anymore, and it causes instability. Now there's a civil war. Now you can come in as occupying force and join sides with whatever side you want to win, right? So there was a study done. I just gave you background, some military history. So
I
those who
got
love
you.
military, that's exactly what that was. That's what the U.S. and other countries do around the world when they want to get in on a country's economy. But that happened in the '50s and the '60s to the black community. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and other people were like, okay, we don't want a black messiah. We don't want it. We don't want more Dr. Kings and Malcolm X's rising up. So how do we do that? How do we attack the black families? So they set out with a plan to destabilize the black community, and it started with families. And so that's a long story, so I'm not going to get into that. But what I want to say is my goal, man, is to have 1,000-member men community, and we're going to go and we're going to stabilize families again. We're going to not just because I know I have my children, but I'm attached to other kids that don't have fathers around. So by default, I am a father figure. So they see me. There's uncles, there's cousins, there's older brothers. You're in these kids' lives whose father may not be present. You can still be a father figure. You don't have to be the biological father. You could be a step parent. You could be a friend of the family. You are a father figure, especially to a male. Because as men, we do two things. We teach our daughters the kind of man to be with, good or bad. And we teach our sons what kind of men to be. So as a father figure, our job is super important because as a man, I find that any woman that I date and I date seriously, she has a lot of my mother's qualities. A lot of my mother's qualities. Because that's the first woman that I fell in love with, the first woman that I saw. And so certain things I look for. And my daughters, the guys that they date seriously, when I meet them, I see a lot of myself in them. And I said, "What do you like about him?" He said, "Well, I like the way he does this. I like the way he does that." I'm like, "Okay, I'm doing my job. Okay, I'm doing my job." Like my daughter with this other guy. I need a man. I don't. You live with your mom. No, I'm used to seeing a man provide. I'm used to seeing a man with at least have a plan that you're going somewhere, that you're doing something. I can't follow a parked car because my daughter saw a man. So she's like, okay, this is not what I'm thought I was gonna see. We're not children anymore. We're adults. Time to start adulting. And so yeah, man, that's where it is, man. That's
Man,
where it is.
family, legacy,
Yep.
thrive.
Yep.
Mars, man. Hey,
That's it, man.
that's it, man. I mean, family, legacy, and thrive. Um, just in a quick spiel, man. What when people watch this, man, what do you want them to take away from this, man?
Easy, man. Don't be ashamed of your past. Don't be ashamed of your pain. You went through it for a reason. Embrace it, learn from it, and teach somebody else how to get past theirs.
That's good, man. That's good. Powerful. Get past your pain points. You really expound on that. Oh, and can you get people where can they find you at along with your website,
Oh, okay,
Instagram,
yeah.
social media?
I'm pretty much Jamon Glover speaks on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, which I'm not really on Twitter that much, but Facebook, Jamon Glover speaks or Jamon Glover. You can find me at either one.
Man, Jamon, Mr. Glover. Hey, it's always my pleasure, man. You always just dropping nuggets. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, don't run past your pain. just the importance of having a father figure. He said it doesn't matter if there's somebody that stands in the gap of your father, whether there's an uncle, whether there's a godfather, where there's
Yep.
a coach. I mean,
Yep.
so many, I mean, being that me and him have coached, I had an opportunity to coach both of his sons. I mean, there's always somebody that you're going to be attached to that can be a father figure, not replacing the mothers, but
Yep.
it's so important to have a male figure tell you how proud of they are of you,
That's it.
how proud they are of you. So it's just important, man, to have that father figure. So get with your mind, get a part of that father figure program and course, and let's take this thing to another level, man. So I appreciate it again, man, for coming on. And it's
Hey
been a
man.
pleasure, man.
Same here. Thank you. And just remember, iron sharpens iron. Only a man can sharpen another man. Just
Hey,
remember that.
that's it, guys. The goals of your future, where God is taking you, will have a different crowd at the finish line than those walking with you today. And as always, today you win because today you live. All right.